Hello, Gingerbread Nation. It is your boy Greg D, aka the DCUO Gingerbread Man, back here with another video. So today, what I want to talk about is this is going to be like for beginners. This is going to be for our new players, our casual players. Topic has been brought up in our Discord channel over the last couple days, and our friend Dark Horus, DCUO. Shout out to my boy Horace. He kind of gave me the idea to make this video, kind of bring it to the people. So what I wanted to do again is kind of talk about some important things as far as you're new, you're beginning the game, you want to challenge yourself. You know, we've been talking about over the last couple of days about, you know, challenging yourself and finding your way and, you know, do what is most fun for you and all that kind of stuff. So to kind of go along with that challenge of, you know, you want to try maybe something that's a little bit more difficult. You want to start elite content. Basically what I want to talk about is when you should, as a new player, maybe start to enter the realm of playing some of the elite content, the elite plus content that's in the game. So I want to talk about artifacts, allies, and skill points associated with that. This will just be my opinion. You may hear differing opinions, you know, from other players who are also experienced, who have also been playing since day one. So, you know, as we've mentioned in some of our other videos as of late here, you know, take what resonates with you. And, you know, if there's something that I say that you may not agree with, I mean, that's fine. That's okay. You don't have to, you know, listen to everything I say. We always talk about, you know, taking what I say and using it, you know, with a grain of salt. So keep that in mind. First thing I will say is that as far as like elite solos and elite duos, those are usually pretty easy. And especially with the duos, you can use a pickup group. Like you can just use like an omnibus, or not an omnibus, but you can use a pickup group, you know, random player. Usually you can get through the elite solos and elite duos pretty easily, I will say. As far as the elite alerts and the elite raids, I personally would not use like a pickup group, you know, just randomly queuing up for something in here. With the elite stuff, I probably wouldn't do, especially with the raids. Sometimes in the alerts, you can get away with it, but more often than not, you're better off, especially with the elites and the raid or alerts and the raids, to do like a looking for group chat. You know, kind of say like, hey, I want to do this elite alert, looking for people to help me with that kind of thing. You know, I'm looking to do this elite, you know, love and war elite, looking for a group. I need a healer for love and war. I need a tank for love and war, you know, whatever. Usually, at least in my experience, doing a pickup group, especially in the elite raids, doesn't always turn out well. You can be in there for a long time. You can definitely be in there for a long time. May not always go well. Like I said, sometimes in the alerts you can kind of get away with it, but so something to just keep in mind there. That also kind of goes back to, you know, what we've talked about as far as, you know, figuring out what you want to do, figuring out your support role, going through the story mode of, you know, level 1 through level 30, kind of figuring your power out, figuring out if you just want to be a DPS, if you'd like to be something like a tank, a controller, a healer, you know, and figuring that out, practicing with it, challenging yourself, that kind of thing. So as far as the artifacts are concerned, obviously, you know, best case scenario here, you'd want to have all 5 at 200, right? I mean, that's where you get the max stats, the max benefits, the, you know, especially in with the artifacts that give you an ability, that's where those abilities are gonna be the strongest, right? Now, no matter what artifacts you're talking about, you know, what build you're using, what role you're in, I would suggest that if you're going to run the elite content, at least have all 5 of these at 160. I have noticed, and I have talked with other players as well, that even if it's a particular artifact that I personally like have leveled up to test for myself, and see if I like it. Even if I don't want to max out because I don't like it, it's a good idea to have them at least 160. 160 is where you really start to see the good stats and benefits from an artifact. So especially when you are talking about elite content, obviously someone um, who has five 160s, you're going to have better stats, better, you know, perks and benefits from those artifacts, as opposed to someone who has, five artifacts. They're at level 100, level 120. And I'm also trying to save you guys from I guess you could call this a little bit of a warning to, can save yourself from some of the toxicity that can be DCUO at times. Um, so if you're running into elite alerts, elite raids, and your artifacts are only like level 60, level 80, level 100, don't be surprised if you have trouble. Don't be surprised if you hear about it from people in your group. And I'm not saying that that's right, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have fun with the game because we always want to have fun, but just be aware that you might hear about it. So I would definitely suggest, especially in the elite alert and elite raids, if your artifacts are like in that 60, 80, 100 range, don't do it. Do not do it. Now, if you find like a really good league that, constantly runs, you know, uh, elite content and they're willing to help you out, that's a whole different story. But if you're trying to do like a pickup group and um, again, your artifacts are really low, just don't do it. Don't save yourself the trouble, save yourself the headache. Don't do it. I would continue to grind and get those artifacts higher. And I know what some of you are already saying, Greg, Gingerbread Man, it's so difficult. The grind is so difficult, and I get it. We've all been there. So again, just keep in mind that there are 2 times weeks from time to time. So I know several people that literally save all of their nth metal until a 2 times week, and then they level up all the artifacts that they can. Um, so that is something you can do. Don't forget to always run your nth metal detectors, like we talk about. Go through your open, especially when you're doing your open world bounties. Pop those nth metal detectors, those things, and you'll get so many eggs. I mean, you can see, like I'm sitting on 135, which is low for me. Um, but again, run your nth metal detectors, run your dailies, your weeklies. You'll get there. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint, like we always talk about. You can't expect to, just be the strongest character ever and have a whole bunch of skill points overnight, right? So, and I will say that in my opinion, artifacts are the best bang for the buck in the game right now, as far as like your stats. Um, and most people will argue that skill points don't matter. I think that skill points do matter because obviously the more that you have, the better. But artifacts are really like the best bang for the buck. The next thing I want to talk about is your allies. So I need to work on some of my allies myself because I don't have all of them maxed out. I have Constantine and Flash maxed out, but I will use Flash as an example here with the Walk It Off ability, for example. Using that supercharge ability restores a portion of the supercharge used. Now, when I was level 8, he only had a 10% supercharge return. Maxed out, he's got 15%. That may not sound like a lot, but that 10% to 15%, if you're in an elite raid, final boss fight, that extra couple of percent might be the difference of me getting another supercharge to proc Eye of Gemini healing field, a healing supercharge, because I am healer. I am a healer. So that might be the difference of us finishing that boss fight and finishing the raid or not. And again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but to me, every little bit helps. Every little bit of stats that you can get, whether it's from here, from here, from here, helps. So I would suggest, and again, I know that I need help here, so myself, but I would try to have, no matter, and much like the artifacts, no matter what build you are, no matter what ally you're using, if you're running elite content, it's probably a good idea to at least have your allies at least a level, especially in the case of these legendary ones that go up to level 10, you probably want to have them at least level 7, level 8, I would say. Same thing with the artifacts, though. Obviously, we want to have them maxed out if you can. And again, that's a slow grind, a slow process, and the developers are working on how we gain ally progression and artifact progression. That's something that they said in their producer's letter back at the beginning of January, I believe it was. Um, so just keep that in mind. So how we gain, progress with the end medals now may be completely different from, after they change it. So just something to, be aware of, and again, keep that in mind. So we have artifacts, we have allies. Like I said, seven to eight usually a good, you know, place to start, I would think. And then also your skill points. And I get these questions a lot from new players as, what can you make a skill point guide? And yes, I can go into more detail in another video about like how to get skill points. What are some of the easiest ones? And we've kind of touched base on that before. Um, but one thing that I would do, no matter what your role is, um, to me, I feel like now, granted, I have seen players in elite content that have done really well. Maybe they have a high skill set, they know what they're doing, they have like a lot of the iconics, or maybe not. Maybe they're just really good at skill wise. They're really good with fire, they're really good with rage, they're really good with sorcery, like whatever. I've seen players in that sense that maybe only have 250, 300 skill points, so they can roll through elite no problem. Um, for me personally, I don't, and again, I've never really considered myself an OP meta elite player, but um, where I really noticed the difference as far as like playing the elite content more often was once I got around like 500 skill points. That's where I really started to see a nice difference um, within the uh, playing the elite content itself. Now, with my alternate characters, my main alternate character has like 250 skill points, and I'll play elite solos and elite duos with that character. But I won't touch elites or raid or alerts or raids just because I don't have. I think all of my artifacts on that main alternate are only like level 100, level 120, so I don't dare touch alerts or raids in that case. But what I would suggest here is even if you are low skill points, make sure no matter what role you are to have all of your crits, your crit attack chance, your critical attack damage, or your critical healing chance. If you're a healer or a tank, you want these. If you're a controller, you'd want these. Then after that, as you continue to gain your skill points, you can start to kind of, do your might and precision if you're DPS. You can do your resto and your dom if you're a tank. You can do your health and health if you're a tank, vitalization if you're a controller. So those are just some things to think about there. Um, yeah, so I would definitely make sure that you have your criticals for sure. Um, and then, like I said, as you continue to go, gain your more skill points. Um, Now you will say too. I guess I should mention this because a lot of players, as a new player, you might not know this, but once you get to 100 skill points, no matter where you are down here, you'll notice like 10%, 10% additional, 10% additional. If you're DPS, the anything that you put in after that will be kind of it doesn't have as much of as an effect as if you were doing it for your support role. So if I was going to have like if I'm a healer, let's say, if I have this maxed out as opposed to like precision maxed out, the difference between each skill point is going to gain me more benefits in the healer aspect of things as opposed to the DPS side of things. I don't know if I'm explaining that to where everyone will understand that. It makes sense in my head, but you know, at the end of the day, you can kind of spec and play around with things, and you can spec your skill points no matter how you want to. Um, but especially if we're talking about elite content, though, having more skill points is going to only benefit you as opposed to having less. And again, we can make a different video where we kind of go into like the easiest feats and how you can spec your skill points and how you get them and like just an overall skill point guide, that kind of thing. Um, but for now, definitely, like I said, make sure you have all these crits here, and then you can kind of, depending on what role you are, DPS, you're over here. Again, healer or tank, you want the resto and the dom. If you have extra and points for a tank, you go into health. You can go into vitalization if you're a controller. All that good stuff. Don't forget too, with the allies, like I said, level 7 or 8, especially if you're talking these legendary allies. If you're talking something like crypto, it's really easy to max out like something like crypto. Doesn't take that much at all. And then artifacts wise, don't forget, no matter what you use, I would say level 160 is a good starting point. So, work on it. The grind is real. We've all been there. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You'll get there, challenge yourself, and have fun with it, at the end of the day. And let me know how it goes. I mean, like I said, I've been really working on this myself over the last year, trying to challenge myself to be a little bit better while still having fun. Whether it be the skill points, whether leveling up the artifacts, whether leveling up the allies, whether it is playing elite content more often. It's been fun, and I think personally that I have become a better player overall. I won't I'll never claim to be like the best player there ever is or anything, because that's not me. I know I'm not, but definitely have gotten better. So with that being said, I'm going to conclude this video right here. I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more. And until next time, we'll see you soon.